There were approximately 22 DILR questions, which was that. That's the main change that happened. That there were 22 DILR questions. So 5 sets of questions, about 2 sets with 5 questions and 3 sets with 4 questions. The second change was in the verbal section. If you look at the verbal section, it was not that there was beginning RC and then VA. So VA was in between the RC somewhere. Okay, so somewhere in between all the RCs, there were all the VA questions. There was no jumble para question as far as I saw. Summary, fill in the blanks, 3 questions of summary, 3 questions of fill in the blanks, and 2 questions of odd man out. So that was the 8 questions breakup. Otherwise, normal 4 RCs with 4 questions. That is what it was. So that is as far as verbal is concerned. For DILR, the sets were comparatively on a little easier side because there are 22 questions maybe and 5 sets. So, but yes, there were a little bit more of DI, like the candle and stick in the, your stock market, opening price, closing price question was there, which is comparatively easy. One question on games was there where there were 6 teams broken up into 2 groups and they played 8 rounds. One game with people in the same round and 2 games with people in the some other round, other team. That's how it was. So that was there. So a little bit more DI as such, DI focused. But yes, so there were 2 questions in bar chart, but they had logic. You had to first try to arrange that whole data in a particular table and then try to get the answer for that. So DILR was okay. I mean, solvable as such. So I'm not saying very easy, but yeah, compared to last year's set, it was comparatively easy. Quant, I personally found it really tricky, but yes, taking a review of students, it was okay. I mean, if you're solving less number of questions, like your focus of solving is only 4, 5, 10 questions, then you would find Quant okay. So you have to pick up the question and solve. But if you're looking at solving a lot of questions, like if you're looking at solving like 17, 18 questions, then it becomes tough because there was a lot of algebra, one on function, on 2 function, that way it was there. One was on equation of a circle given and inequality given. There was some question which was quite calculation intensive, so it took time to calculate. Then one was on remainder, but it was based on pattern. It was not on remainder theorem. You could easily find the pattern and then try to get the answer for that. So yes, there was basically what I say is not if you're solving less questions, I say less than 10 questions, like 4, 5, 6, then Quant is fine. You can pick up the easy questions and solve. But if you look at if you try to find more number of questions, you would find it difficult. Like anything more than 12, 13, the paper would be very difficult for you for Quant. VRC, again coming to difficult level, VRC, because the paper was jumbled, searching for questions took time. That is one aspect. RCs were okay in a sense, like similar to previous years. You can say that 2 RCs were fine, understood. One was a little complicated, one was medium level. So the type of questions were similar, except I said that there was no jumble para, 3 summaries, 3 fill in the blanks, and 2 odd one out. Just check that out properly before you go. I mean, this is my understanding of the paper. I would not say the RC verbal was very easy, but it was not very tough. It was similar to the previous year's paper, so you can go with that. Coming back to DILR, what you need to do before the exam is nothing much. There was no new pattern of the paper. Even that candlelight question which I mentioned, you could understand that. All data was given to you. You could understand that. So technically, a DI set was compatible. So one pure DI set at candlelight, that was easier than the logic sets. So my suggestion would be to go to the first DI set and try to see if that is solvable, because that's the easier set, and then maybe go to a logic set and try to solve. So that should not be a problem as such. Look, whether sectional cutoff will depend upon your competition about other people who are writing the paper. So technically it will depend on that. But yes, paper seemed to be okay. Again, I'll repeat the whole surprises which I found. One, VA was a little jumbled, so you have to first search for where the questions were. I would recommend that you go to the paper, search question paper, write down already where the questions are, so that you know exactly where the questions are. Okay, and then you can search for the question which you want. Go to those questions. That's what I did. I ended up starting. I went to the question paper option, wrote down the questions which were there, where the questions are, and then maybe first whatever solved you asked is normal strategy, because now I knew where the questions were as such. Then no, there's not 6 sets of DLR, there were 5 sets of DLR. So 5 sets of DLR, 3 sets of 4 questions and 2 sets of 5 questions. So that way it was. And QA was moderate. I mean, moderate in the sense, as I said, attempting too many questions will make it difficult. Topic, little bit more questions on, there was questions on inequality, quadratic equation, a simple question on profit and loss. Yes, if you're looking at easier questions, then I would say arithmetic would be a little easier question than algebra. So you can maybe pick that out and solve. There was a question on interest, simple interest as such. So yeah, so simple interest, you can say question on simple interest, question on profit and loss, question on numbers, remainder, as I said, there was there. There's also one which said that, okay, all the numbers, similar question had come in the previous, but a little twisted, saying that you add up all the numbers using 4 numbers A, B, C, D, and then try to figure out the answer. So yes, it was okay, DILR logic. 1 was pure DI, 2 were maybe DI come logic, so you had to use the DI from the chart and then use the logic which was there and solve. And 2 are pure logic. That's what we were. Games would be pure logic more or less. 1 question on games and so on. So that's how it is. Can you do all the sets in DLR? Technically, yes, all the sets are doable. It depends on how fast you can solve. But considering that it's a 5-set series, it would, be a challenge to solve all the sets. Unless you are extremely good in DLR, solving all 5 sets would be a little difficult. Geometry, not many questions were seen. There was question on rectangle, which was in circle. Yeah, there was a question on triangle and you had to find the in radius of the circle. That was fine. There was a question which was very difficult, which was saying a cuboid inside a sphere, and you have to find the volume of the sphere, which I found it, which I think was difficult. There was a question on equation of a circle given, and you have to find an equation of a line given, and you have to find the area that enclosed the 2 values. So there were questions on geometry, and I thought geometry was a little on a tougher side, except that in radius one was decently good. If you know the formula, it was just formula based, you could solve, put the formula and get the answer. But apart from that, yes, there were questions on geometry which was tough. So look at it. Any changes in DRC? Someone is asking. I had mentioned there was no jumble para, but there were 1 extra question on fill in the blanks, 1 extra questions on summary. Algebra was there, a lot of algebra questions. But yes, you can say like last year. There's no like sudden increase. If you're looking at easier questions and if you're comfortable with arithmetic, I think that is fine. There was no probability and PNC, at least as far as I remember. Probability question PNC was not there. So this one, let's say, no parajumbles, no probability, no PNC as far as I remember. No. Changes in DILR pattern, yes, as I said, 5 sets, 3 sets of 4 questions and 2 sets of 5 questions. So overall, paper was fine. I think if you have given the paper last year, which was tough paper, I would say this year's paper was slightly easier than last year's paper, slight, because of the DILR. I would say Quant was similar. I would say verbal was similar. Maybe the DILR would make it a little easier to solve, because last year's challenge was getting 1 DILR set was a challenge. This year getting 1 DILR set should be fine. Should be solvable, the 1 DILR set. Else I don't see a particular problem as far as DILR is concerned. Yeah, any questions? Let's for slot 3 I'll come. If for slot 3 go to the questions that came in slot 1, because there were quite a few new ideas that was there. Like as I said, there was that function which was something based on onto into function. We could look at that. So look at Quant specifically and look at the topics that came. One was on circle, but that is if you're looking at high score. If you're looking at cutoffs, then whatever concept you studied is sufficient as such. For second thought, people just go with an open mind. I don't see a big problem. I don't think it will become a big issue. VRC, yes, people found it difficult. VRC purely because it was jumbled. You had to really search for the question which was there. So that took a little time. And questions were not straightforward. There was one set which was like really difficult. Yes, so if you're solving a lot of questions, VRC becomes difficult maybe, but if you're solving a few questions, then VRC this one. So yes, maybe in second this one, maybe VRC could be a little tougher than slight tougher than last year. DLR set topics. One was on games. As I said, 6 teams in 2 groups, and then you had to solve. One was the number of people you travel across cities. So people travel in Asia, people traveled in rest of the world, and people traveled in Europe. So how many people traveled? They're given a bar chart. You had to put that on a table, and they had mentioned that 3 people went to US. The only people, only 3 people. So all 3 went to US as the only country, and so on. So some data based on that. So it's not difficult, but you have to just put the data and solve. There was one on elections which was there, where you have to just put the data properly and then try to interpret it. So when you talk about elections, it was like 2 people standing for the election, and there were 2 variables given. One variable given was their level 1 or level 2 campaigning, and second was whether they talked about issues or they talked about either issues or they talked about attacking the opponent. So they gave us data. First data they gave you was if they talked about issues, then how much percent votes they would get, which was, they mentioned 20 into the level of campaigning they did. And then they gave, okay, if you don't go with issues, if you go for attack, then 20% of the voters from A will vote for B and 10% will not vote. So they are given few conditions. It was not difficult, it was comparatively easy, but the key was to put the data properly so you can interpret it. If you don't put the data properly and don't interpret properly, then you would face a problem. Else, it was so one question was purely putting data systematically and trying to answer the question. One, the games was little tricky. 8 rounds, you have to put it properly, and if you interpret it properly, you should be able to get the answer, right? And so on. So VA, you should not really bother about things. Just go with the open mind and try to solve for VA. Was arithmetic easy? Yes, arithmetic was comparatively easy as compared to maybe algebra and geometry maybe. So comparatively, yes, it was comparatively on the easier side. Number of questions are 68 because they increased 2 questions in DILR. So DILR became 22, so number of questions became 68. The theta questions remained the same in terms of odd man out was theta questions obviously. So that was there. Otherwise, I don't see issue. Which set? The DI set was easy. The one with the pure DI with no data as such. There was no extra data. The DI set was DI set. So to just interpret the data and try to get the answer. So the DI set was easy. So my suggestion is first attack the DI set. The LR set was, I'm not saying difficult, very difficult, but solvable. You could maybe take little time, have a cool mind, and then try to solve. That could be sufficient, right? Yeah, it depends on the accuracy, how much you'll get 90% tell. Let's wait and watch. Don't focus on this one. Was it any graph? One I said was candlelight, like the way you do in the stock market, candlelight, this one. But that was easy to interpret because they're given all the information about it. And 2 were on bar charts. Arrangement sets, I would not say arrangement. No, there was no pure arrangement sets. It was forming 6 teams into 2 groups of 3 each, and how you put them into 8 rounds, that was closest to arrangement, but there was no pure arrangement sum. I think questions to attempt, just read it, and my suggestion is leave out anything that you find tough. So anything that you find lengthy or tough, leave it, because it was a little bit more time consuming than a normal paper. I would say QA was like a last year's QA, or a little bit on the tougher side normally as such. Alright? Okay, I hope I'm repeating. I think I'm just repeating things as such. All the best for people who are going for second slot. I'll come up with maybe more detailed review after some particular time. But yes, set theory, not really. The functions were there, which was set theory. There was a question on functions, which was somewhere related to set theory. 5 questions clear. Yeah, I think with 5 questions in Quant, you should be able to clear the cutoffs. Is what I feel. At least in this paper. Again, it will change from slot to slot based on how difficult each slot is. But yes, I think 4 to 5 questions in my slot would be more than enough to clear the cutoffs for Quant at least. I'm not clearing the cutoff. Arithmetic weightage, It's same as last year. I mean, I didn't go to the exact weightage of each type of question. Maybe you'll come to know in some time. But yes, the weightage was similar to last year. If you look at last year, it was more or less similar on that respect. Fine. I will at DILR topic. Someone is asking. I repeat this. One is candidate graph. One is on team 6 teams, 2 parts. Third was based on elections where data was given. You have to arrange it properly and go about it. And 2 were on graph. One was on people visiting different places and cities, etc. So yeah, so it was okay. I will stop my live. I'll come up with for slot 2 at least. I think this is sufficient. Just go with the open mind. As I said, for verbal, go to the question paper review, write the question numbers, and then attack the question that you want to attack. You can then select the question which you want to. For DILR, there are 5 sets. I think pick up a DI set first, and then you can look at LR based on your comfort level. There are one longer set which you could skip and maybe pick up on the others. For Quant, learn to leave questions quickly to whatever you find it difficult and focus on the question that you can solve. Right? Fine. So approach of the paper will remain similar, so don't worry about it. So with that, I will stop this one. I'll come up with more details as and when we go. Right? Hello, then see you, and all the best for the people who are going for slot 2 and slot 3. Right? Not used to the live sessions, I'm just looking at how to stop. Yeah.